Yaseo and welcome 8th graders. Welcome to Geology, Lesson 17. Can you believe we're on Lesson 17? I cannot. Nonetheless, today we're going to do just a real quick crash course on minerals. We could spend an entire semester, entire quarter talking about minerals, but today we're going to do it in one lesson. And to simplify it even more, I'm going to talk about what a mineral is right now. I'm going to give you a definition. Hopefully, with that definition, you'll understand about 50% of what you need to know from this lesson. So mineral is basically the building blocks of a rock. Rocks consist of two or more minerals, and the minerals themselves are essentially crystals. They're solids that have a repeating pattern as far as their atoms and molecules are concerned, and that repeating pattern creates a crystal shape. And so that's what a mineral is. So our objectives for today are to understand how minerals are classified and identified, and I want you to be able to explain how minerals are classified. Now, I don't want you to spend a whole lot of time on this lesson taking detailed notes, drawing pictures, even like struggling to understand how all these, or struggling to memorize how all these processes work. What I just want you to do is, like, if you look through this PowerPoint again, if you look at different slides, you'd be able to explain, oh, this is one way we classify minerals, this is another way we classify minerals. Just be able to explain these processes, that's all. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's get into the meat of our lesson. And minerals are identified and classified in 8 different ways. And so first we look at their composition. We just look at what they're made of, right? We can maybe use a microscope or do some different tests to see like exactly what kind of molecules form this mineral. And that's one way we can identify the mineral. Another way we can do it is by looking at the mineral's luster. Luster has to do with kind of reflectivity, and it's basically how it shines or doesn't shine. Streak is a way of testing minerals by rubbing them against a hard ceramic plate called a streak plate. They'll leave a certain color. The different colors correspond with different minerals. Hardness is what it sounds like. It's basically how hard a mineral is or is not. The hardest mineral that we have on Earth are diamonds, and some of the softer minerals you can use your thumb and you can scratch the mineral with your thumbnail. So they range from really soft minerals like talc to super hard minerals like diamonds. Next, texture. Texture is kind of the way it feels when you rub on it. Some minerals are oily, some are smooth and glassy, some are kind of rough and sandpapery. Different minerals have different textures. Fracture and cleavage talks about breaking a mineral. You can actually break a mineral and see like how it splits, and that will tell you about what it's composed of. That split kind of lets you know what the crystal pattern is, what kind of structure that mineral has. Crystal shape, we can just look at the shape of the crystals, and that'll tell us a lot about a mineral as well. And finally, density. Density also lets us know about what a mineral is. So let's go ahead. So let's talk about these in more detail. Composition, we all know what composition is. I explained it before, so I don't think we need a separate slide for it. Let's go into the next quality that identifies a mineral, which is luster. Luster talks about the way that a mineral reflects light or the way light shines on a mineral. And so they have all of these very specific categories for the types of luster, from a metallic luster to an adamantine luster, which I guess means a hard luster, resinous luster, silky, earthy, dull, greasy. All of these terms define the way a mineral reflects light. So you don't have to memorize these terms, just kind of know the idea of luster, that different minerals reflect light differently, and then that's all you need to know. Another way that minerals are identified are streaks. And as I mentioned before, when you rub a mineral against a special type of ceramic plate called a streak plate, a lot of times it'll leave a very distinct color. So cinnabar has kind of a reddish color that it leaves behind. Pyrite, which is also known as fool's gold, it leaves kind of a black mark behind. It's called fool's gold because a lot of people mistook pyrite for gold. And the streak test is a very simple way to tell if you have gold or whether you have pyrite. The next type of test you can do is measure the mineral's hardness. And so I mentioned earlier that some minerals you can scratch with your fingernail, like talc. Others you know can scratch with a copper coin. Some you can scratch with a knife or a piece of steel. Others, you know, you need you need, for example, you need harder minerals to scratch with. You actually, steel is not hard enough to scratch some of these minerals. And then when you get to diamonds, the only thing that's going to scratch another diamond is a diamond. If a diamond scratches corundum or a ruby, then, or if you have something that will scratch that, then you know it's a diamond. So next, mineral fracture. So basically minerals break in different ways, and so some of them have no like clear pattern, and so that would be an example of corundum or rubies. And then yeah, we can look at this list here, and I don't need to take you through the list. There's just different ways that minerals break up. If we look at muscovite, we can see that muscovite peels off in sort of these flat kind of chips. Others will break in sort of these square patterns. So yeah, the way minerals fracture, the way they break, tells you about what type of mineral they are. So let's go into crystal shape. You know, there are all kinds of ways of categorizing crystal shapes. So some are cubes, like salt. Some are, well, like for instance, ice. I guess would be qualified as a mineral, and if we look at a snowflake, that's a specific type of crystal shape that ice has. Density, and you know, we're all familiar with density. Density is the amount of mass in an object. It's the relationship between mass and volume, and we talked about this early in here. And so these are the 8 categories, the 8 ways that they identify minerals. So you don't have to memorize them. You just have to be able to kind of look at this list and understand what each category means. If you have any questions, please hit me up at sjkwok@sejongacademy.org. You can also talk to Mr. O at hoh1@sejongacademy.org. Otherwise, hit me up during office hours every day from 9:30 a.m. until 10:30 a.m. Thank you and peace. Have a great day.